What's up everybody, Melvin here from Headphone.ph, and today we have a Sennheiser headphone up for review. This is the Sennheiser HD660s open back dynamic driver headphone. Let's get right into it. I think very few introductions are needed for this headphone because it's been out for quite some time. This is the successor to the legendary HD600 and HD650 headphones that have been around for I think over 20 years now. It retails for $500, although you can find it for cheaper on Amazon and other sites. Like the mentioned headphones, it's an open back dynamic driver headphone, but it's utilizing one of their more recent 38mm diaphragm and 42mm transducer that people said is based on the old HD700 headphone. The headphone comes in a muted but elegant looking box that matches the color of the headphone. And inside it, you get a cutout so you can put the headphone inside and store it there. You also get a couple of accessories, namely the two long cables. One of them terminates in a 1/4-inch plug and the other in 4.4-meter Pentacon, which is a specialized type of termination. There's also an included 1/4-inch to 3.5mm adapter so that you can use the headphone with your portable devices. Like pretty much every Sennheiser open back headphone, the 660s is predominantly made of plastic. It's a very good quality plastic, though I wouldn't call it tank-like. Because of the build, the headphone weighs less than 300 grams, which is really light compared to other full-size headphones. The cables are also of pretty good quality. It doesn't tangle much, nor is it stiff like some other headphone cables like the one that comes with the Focal Clear. And it has a 2-pin mini plug that goes on both ear cups, which is pretty much the same as their other headphones in the 6XX line. Overall, the look is pretty muted. One might say it's dull, but I'd argue that the matte black finish is actually pretty gorgeous in an understated way. The overall aesthetics doesn't really differ much from the 600 and 650. The headphone is very comfortable because of how light it is and how it's put together. It's got ample padding, spacious ear cups, comfortable velour pads, and the clamp is also not as tight as I thought it would be. This is a headphone that I think I can wear for an entire day because of how light and comfortable it is. The velour texturing of the pads feels nice when it touches your skin. And really, it's one of those headphones that just disappears on your head. Now, some people say that the clamp is strong initially, but by the time I get this one, the clamp is quite minimal. As an open headphone, it has some noise isolation. It doesn't also leak sound as crazy as the Headphone egg-shaped headphones, namely the Aria or the Focal open back as well. I'd say the leakage is similar to the DT880 headphone that I've owned some time ago, which means you can use it fine in an office environment and not annoy your co-workers. For the sound evaluation, I've used this headphone mostly with the mono-price THX887 and Modius DAC. I've also tried this with just straight from my laptop audio jack and straight from my phone. Because this is a 150 ohm headphone, I'd say an amplifier is needed in order to really maximize the experience from listening, although you still get enough listening volume if you plug it straight from your phone. The overall tonal balance is warm and smooth. It does lack the sub-bass extension, which means it needs to compensate with that upper bass to lower mids hump. Although the accentuation in that area is not as severe as the 650 and 600. The bass punch of this headphone is not as good because of the lack of sub-bass extension, although it's not as soft in the way it presents the notes as the Headphone Aria. Bass to mid-range transition is not fully flat as mentioned. It actually reminds me of the Clear in that area, but it's something that I quite like. It's because the sub bass is not well extended. The tuning has to contour around that specific areas, so I think for me personally that's okay. The 6XX line is renowned for its mid-range, and the 660s is no different from its older siblings. It has that tonal richness and mid-range vocal forwardness that just has that perfect balance between being slightly forward and being neutral. And I think this sort of contributes to the in-your-face type of experience similar to a Grado headphone, although the Grado one has more a bigger accentuation in that area compared to this. Moving up into the treble, I would say that the treble frequencies are smooth as a whole, but not overly so. Compared to like more expensive headphones, I would say the detail is a little smeared. Maybe a touch of sharpness is needed, but it is fairly coherent sounding. I think nothing is standing out too much compared to others, and there's really no harshness or sibilance here as well. I also like the clarity and resolution in this area, especially for a headphone around this price range. The soundstage, they say, is better than the 600 and 650. I have not heard those in quite some time, but comparing it to the Focal Clear and even the Utopia, the 660S's soundstage is easily smaller than those, but not by much. Again, I think this is in relation to the mid-range presentation, where it's slightly more in your face and has that stronger center stage. Detail retrieval is okay, and I'd say it's good for the price, but otherwise it doesn't really punch above it. As mentioned, dynamics are also just okay, not the intense in-your-face bass punch or excursiveness, but I'd say it's equivalent to most headphones in this price range. The 660S is also a fairly efficient headphone. Even though it's a 150 ohm headphone, you can play it plenty loud from a portable device. I tried it with a phone and it sounded fine, which, similar to the Clear, I thought that's the sound is good enough when played from a phone. It did scale quite a bit when I used it with the monoprice THX887. I find that the bass frequencies have become more controlled and snappier, as well as the stage opening up a bit more. Because this is a home listening headphone, I highly suggest that you invest in an amplifier. Even just the entry-level ones, that one can improve the performance of this headphone. My headphone listening experience as a whole is pretty pleasurable, I'd say. I enjoyed my time with it, and quite frankly, the only hindrance that I experienced was that I have some higher-end headphones in my possession that I really like. Otherwise, I think this is a headphone that I can perfectly be happy with if I'm not chasing the Summit game. It's got that perfect warmth and smoothness for my preference. It's got that nice detail, especially for the price. It also doesn't have that too much upper bass, lower mids congestion in the music, and the treble not being overly smooth like, say, the LCD2, just for comparison. I figured I'd do some quick comparisons with other headphones that I have experience with, starting off with the significantly more expensive Clear. I think the total balance is quite similar, but the Clear edges it out in technicality, so it has better dynamics, better detail retrieval, and also a slightly better stage and imaging compared to the LCD2 non-phaser, which is the old model, specifically the 2.2 revision. I find that the Odyssey headphone has better detail retrieval and has bigger bass slam and punch. But the LCD2 also has a weirder frequency tuning, so it's got that muted upper mid-range lower treble and a emphasized mid-treble and air frequencies, which can be kind of strange depending on the music that you're listening. Compared to some of my older mid-fi headphones, the 660 is easily better than the Hi-Fi-Man HE400i. It's also better than the DT880, but I'd say it has some similarities with the Grado RS1i that I reviewed a couple of months ago. That one has that similar upper bass, lower mids accentuation, although the RS1i does it more excessively. It also has more treble, and I think the 660S is a much smoother listening experience. So in conclusion, the 660S is a very good sounding headphone, and I've enjoyed my time with it. I think if you're looking for that one headphone that, you know, that's not too expensive and that sounds good, and you're really not into chasing the end game, the 660S is a very good choice. Barring any specific tonal balance preference that you may have, the HD660S doesn't just sound great, but it's also super comfortable, giving you a full-size home listening headphone that you can actually wear for an entire day. Alright, that's about it for the review of the Sennheiser HD660s headphone. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this headphone, especially if you own one or if you have some disagreements or additional input to what I just said. Sound off in the comment section below, thumbs up the video if you like it, subscribe for more headphone.ph video reviews, and visit headphone.ph for the text version of this review. I'll see you guys next time.